So there there is some physical requirement, I believe, in that activity, and a part of a human relationship is about warmth and contact of being in the same space as somebody, and as you know and understand, as a woman, um, the warmth of human contact is a very big part of the need within a relationship, not just because it's physical contact, but because it's biological transfer of information and understanding and communication. And I think some elements of science show that there's DNA transfer between people who share the same space.
Mm-hmm.
And probably between people and animals as well that share the same space. Your comfort has several meanings. It's not just the physical comfort; it's the psychological comfort. It's the knowledge. It's the intimacy of the relationship, and an embrace is important, an important part of human connection. I think that there is a child inside all of us, um, and it is part of us that we need to care for and nurture. And I'm not sure if it's the child that always seeks the embrace. It might just be that it's a natural part of being in a warm relationship. And you used very interesting words. You used the words warm and cold. And so if you don't have that intimacy, there is a certain level of coldness that occurs within the human relationship. There's less shared rather than more shared. And and you also made an interesting point about the difference between demanding and accepting things, which is that um, we can't demand things, but we can request things. It's okay to ask, and it's probably even better to tell someone how we feel about something. It's again, strange is an interesting word because strange communicates stranger, as in person that you don't know. And
Mm-hmm.
so if you are not physically in the presence of that person, if you are not acknowledged physically in the presence of that person, then the person does become partly a stranger.
Mm-hmm.
And there is this feeling that you don't know everything, as if the person is a stranger. And then you start to think about things, and then we worry because we overthink things because we don't know the answer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's natural to ask questions when we don't know, but these are questions that we can't answer ourselves
Mm-hmm.
about the other person.
Mm-hmm.
Only only they can answer that. So uh, it is important to tell the other person how we feel. It's also important that we're not um, accusatory in the way that we communicate it. For example, let me give you an example. If I say to someone, I am feeling this at the moment, it's different from saying, uh, you make me feel like this when I'm with you.
Mm-hmm.
What starts with fireworks ends with explosions, right? Right? And people get hurt. And what they mean, the fire that you burn, ignite, light, kindle slowly tends to burn for longer than the fire that's out of control. Um, and 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 there are all these fireworks at the beginning because we're we're emotional, we're hormonal, and everything is happening quickly, and it's all bright lights and colors and smiles. But we always need to project what is happening in the present into the future to see if it has longevity about it, because we've all in our lives seen examples of things that begin really well, but then for some reason don't work later on. And you can almost take any business as an example of that kind of scenario, where everything is great at the beginning, but if you fail to sustain this purpose and this desire and this energy, then the business will begin to falter, have problems, and eventually die. And in in a lot of relationships, there's this constant problem of how do we kindle and keep the relationship burning? Because in general, if we think about our friendships, then we realize that they're very transitory through our lives. Depending upon who we are and where we are, the experience we're having, maybe where we work, our social groups, our social activities, these people will vary and change, and it's very difficult to keep that relationship consistent. But we need to take that understanding and apply that and realize that in our personal relationships we're going to have the same problems if we don't dedicate ourselves to ensuring that our partners are happy and they have what they need in the relationship. And from your description, your partner would like distance, and so you keep the distance, but you would like closeness, but he doesn't keep the closeness. Without physical contact and connection in deeply personal relationships, people dissolve. They disappear like like a pill that's designed to dissolve in a glass of water. They just disappear to the point where you can't see them very much anymore. And there are classic signs of this. I mean, spending time watching television is um, one of the ways that people signal their loneliness, because you can't really communicate with other people when you're watching the television. And intelligent people understand that you will never find anything more intellectual on the television than you will find in a conversation with people in your environment. And so turning on the TV is a way to say, I don't want to communicate with you. Giving people objects is a distraction from the important things. He gives you a house, but look, I think anyway, the truth is that we would all be happy in a tent if we were with the partner that we loved,
Mhm.
right? It doesn't really, I mean, it's nicer to have a house. Don't get me wrong. I like houses. Houses are very practical. A lot of space. It's very nice. It's sometimes a lot of work to clean it and keep it organized, but a house is a beautiful thing for sure. And families, if they can afford it, they should have a house. Um, but all, uh, what's the example? The example is with children. If I walk into a children's bedroom, which sometimes I do when I'm visiting friends or my children are playing with other kids and we go to their house or we visit family or yeah, some situation, right? If I walk into a children's bedroom and that children's bedroom is full of hundreds of toys, I know this child is not loved as much as he or she could be loved. And the reason how I know this is because time with objects replaces time with people. And the child who has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of toys, well, that's the parents' guilt at not having time for their kids. I'm sorry I'm late home, here's a teddy bear. I'm sorry I'm late home, here's a book about unicorns. I'm sorry I'm late home, here's a video game. Um, and so objects objects only work in relationships when they are labors of love. So, and let's take a crazy classic example. That would be if you build the house physically together with your partner. The object has more meaning than a house. It's a labor of love. If you cook together with your partner, the meal has more meaning than just a meal. It's a labor of love. Um, if you work on any kind of project together, um, to do something, to build for the future, anything that involves preparation, planning, and organization, struggles, debates, difficulties, contemplation, mistakes, even relationships can be built on mistakes. That's okay, because nobody ever gets everything right all the time. So, and your ability to forgive your partner for their mistakes because you love them is all part of the relationship experience, and that you realize that your partner means no harm. It's just that they made an honest mistake. It happens. You book into a hotel and it's not a good hotel. These things happen in life. So, cars break down, and there are planes get delayed, and there are other issues and problems to solve. So, obviously, people who have a history of troubled and problematic experiences in their personal life need to be able to reflect on those kinds of experiences.